the first Regulation I VGC tournament has just concluded, and it left us with some pretty strong first impressions of the format. Going into the tournament, we expected that Brute Bonnet would be a legitimate threat, Koraidon and Lunala would make a great pair, and Zamazenta Calyrex Shadow would be the most popular team in the format. But did this event confirm these beliefs, and what have we learned to expect from this new format? Why is Ho-Oh good all of a sudden? Let's discuss. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video at any point in time, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. As a matter of fact, you should really just subscribe right now because I have a playlist full of content just like this that you can watch once this video ends. And if you think you're subscribed, do me a favor and double check because a lot of my viewers actually aren't. With that, let's get into the video. But not before I plug my YouTube channel memberships. If you click the join button, not only do you get access to bonus videos every week and access to my podcast with Jody Azzarelli, but you also can join my members only Discord where we team build and discuss Pokemon broadly. You also get a badge by your name in the comments and in my live streams, and you get to see your name at the end of these videos. Lots of cool perks there, so consider supporting me with the channel membership. Now back to the video. Okay, so we just had our first regional of the Regulation I format. Now, this tournament had a lot of things riding on it. We're getting towards the end of the season, so a lot of players are starting to lock in and trying to make sure they can secure their invite. Remember that it's only top 75 in the US, so a lot of US players are pretty stressed right now and trying their best to secure some points, and the beginning of a new format is a good time to try something kind of crazy and seeing if you can just break through the lack of knowledge and use something that's a little bit off meta. And we did have a Pokemon stand out more than the rest at this tournament. It's definitely going to be Ho-Oh that I want to talk about at some point. But yeah, me personally, I don't have anything riding on this tournament. I'm attending Worlds as a creator this year, so I just rolled up with Necrozma Duskmane, and that was pretty fun. But let's go ahead and get into this. Let's talk about the results of the tournament, the pairs that we were expecting to see going into the tournament, and the pairs that we saw coming out of it being the most dominant in the format. So let's just go ahead and get into it. Now, this is going to be me just scrolling through the results of the tournament and talking about different Pokemon and restricted duos and stuff and just reviewing the tournament as a whole. So you can sort of treat this as background noise if you really want to. But before you do, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. So we're going to start off with the result of the tournament. The winner of the tournament was Andrew Ding running a Lunala Miraidon team. And we've seen, well, we've seen mostly, what is it called? Koraidon Lunala pop up and be really strong in some of these earlier tournaments. However, Miraidon Lunala makes perfect sense as well. If you want to get results and you don't want to have to study too hard, one of the best things you can do is just slap Miraidon on a soft Trick Room team. I mean, it won the World Championships, and we can see that Lunala Miraidon actually did phenomenal in this tournament. It is 3 out of the 4 teams that were in top 4, and the only other team in top 4 was Dylan Cliven, which is one of my locals, so shout out to MLDB, love that guy, or MLBD. But the only other Pokemon in top 8 or top 4 was a Calyrex Ice, which is once again just Lunala on Miraidon on soft Trick Room. So that's pretty interesting. If we just take a look at the team that won, we can take a look at what they were running. We see Electric Seed Lunala on screens next to Miraidon with an Assault Vest. We have a Guts Flame Orb Ursaluna, and we have a Choice Band Urshifu Rapid Strike, and of course we have Grimmsnarl with Thunder Wave, Reflect, Light Screen, Spirit Break, and Incineroar with a Rocky Helmet, Terra Bug, Fake Out, Parting Shot, Knockoff Will-O-Wisp. Now, this is a team that I know existed going into the tournament. Electric Seed Lunala has been a thing, but I haven't seen it too much with Assault Vest Miraidon, though it does kind of make sense. If you're running screens, your Miraidon, you're not really like super invested in getting like all those one-hit KOs that you would usually be, but you're still going to be getting a ton of one-hit KOs because you're Miraidon with Electro Drift. So having that extra longevity to make sure that you're able to pair better into some of the restricteds that threaten Lunala quite a bit, for example, Calyrex Shadow, that's like a very scary Pokemon. So having an Assault Vest Miraidon behind screens allows for you to just very easily deal with that. And you also deal pretty well with the Pokemon that flank Calyrex Shadow when you have these screens, because one of the top restricted duos that we saw going into the tournament was going to be, Calyrex Shadow plus Zamazenta. And Miraidon is one of those Pokemon that can deal with Zamazenta, but it has trouble dealing with Zamazenta if it gets locked into one move. For this reason, Zamazenta will typically run like Terra Dragon because Miraidon will end up locking into an electric move. They're going to deal a pretty significant amount of damage, but if they Terra Dragon into it or protect on whatever move they're about to do to scout it out, now they can either choose to Terra Dragon or choose to not, depending on if they went for their Fairy move, their Dragon move, or their Electric move. So having Assault Vest Miraidon makes this a lot more flexible, and it also gives you a little bit more longevity. I mean, like, Assault Vest Snarl is going to be doing a lot of damage into Kali Shadow and opposing Lunala, considering that it's boosted by Hadron Engine. So it's basically like a Life Orb Snarl. So that is really huge. This team's super interesting. And I think that what we really learned coming out of the tournament is that Ursaluna is a menace. Ursaluna is one of the most dominant Pokemon in the format at the moment, with it being on 3 out of the 4 teams in top 4. And there's good reason for it. Ursaluna has a really good matchup into a ton of restricteds as as a normal ground type with Guts and Flame Orb. It means a few things. 1, you're not going to get spored because you're already burned. 2, your damage output is insane with your 2 stabs. 3, you're able to deal with Lunala by going for headlong rushes because it can't hit you with either of its like normal moves, because typically it runs like Wide Guard Protect or Wide Guard Trick Room, Moongeist Beam, and Meteor Beam. So you wall Meteor Beam or you wall Moongeist Beam, and you don't really take much from Meteor Beam because of your impressive bulk and the fact you resist it. You're also able to deal with Miraidon because you're immune to its like best move. You're able to deal with Calyrex Shadow because you're immune to its best move. You're able to deal with even Zamazenta because most of these things wear Terra Ghost. You see Terra Ghost is like one of the best options for it. That allows for you to deal with Zamazenta. You just wall it out as well. This Pokemon is absurdly good. It's able to speed tie with minimum speed Calyrex Ice, and I believe also Iron Hands, right? They're all like base 50. Yeah, Iron Hands is base 50, Calyrex Ice is base 50, that's Calyrex Shadow. Calyrex Ice is base 50, and so is Ursaluna. So them being base 50 means that if they're not absolute 0 speed, you're going to be able to deal with them pretty well. And of course, Urshifu Rapid Strike in first is kind of interesting because even though Urshifu had a lot of representation in this tournament, this is one of the lowest representations that it's had like in a format overall. And it's for a couple of reasons. I would say it's just like there's a ton of Miraidons, right? There's just a ton of them running around. There's a ton of Kali Shadows and there's a ton of Terra Dragon Zamazentas. Like there's just these Pokemon that it has issues dealing with, and beyond that, because of the lack of Urshifu, there's also just a lot of Grimstar running around because they don't really care about Surging Strikes, just bypassing Reflect and Light Screen and stuff. So Urshifu is simultaneously very troubled because of like the amount of restricted Pokemon that just deal with it super easily, notably like Lunala and stuff. But it's also very good because the absence of Urshifu has made people shift towards running screens on a lot of teams, thus causing Urshifu to be in higher demand. It's interesting. It's in a really interesting position. We see in second, though, Dylan Cliven with the Calyrex Ice and Miraidon team. This version of the team is going to be quite different from the other one. You can see that this is actually a Choice Scarf Miraidon with Draco Meteor, Volt Switch, Electro Drift, and Snarl. And Choice Scarf Miraidon is pretty interesting. I did speak to him for a little bit, and I think that it was basically just for a few particular matchups. For one, you're never playing a speed tie against opposing Miraidon. And also, you're going to be able to Volt Switch super easily on Pokemon like, Jolly, Koraidon. You're going to be able to Volt Switch on Timid, Calyrex Shadow Rider. There's just a lot of Pokemon that Miraidon likes having the option to click that powerful Volt Switch off of. But also it's like really good into the Calyrex Shadow plus Weezing teams that are running around at the moment. One of them did make top 16, I believe it was like James Evans. But because you don't have your Hadron Engine and you don't have like your screens access and you don't have like Tailwind or whatever, being able to just immediately get out of there and switch in something like a Volcarona in Assault Vest Iron Hands or, a normal type like Farigiraf on these Astral Barrages is going to be like super duper important. So yeah, that was actually like a really cool tech. It's a very scary Pokemon to deal with. Like dealing with Choice Specs Miraidon is one thing because you just lose a Pokemon, but if you outspeed it, it's no issue. Dealing with Choice Scarf Miraidon is a whole different like ball game because it's like, okay, well, I may not lose a Pokemon, but I'm probably not hitting it because it's leaving before I can even attack. So yeah. Sorry, I took a sip of my coffee there if you're listening. Volcarona is a very strong Pokemon right now for a couple of reasons, right? As a bug fire type, it's able to hard wall Zamazenta more or less. I mean, it doesn't have like the best physical defense, but running like Rocky Helmet and Will-O-Wisp and Rage Powder means it's a very scary Pokemon for Zamazenta. It's also able to deal with Cali Shadow pretty okay. It can switch in on it because of its decent special bulk. It has a good Iron Hands matchup. Like, that's like an especially important one. Iron Hands not being able to hit this thing for much damage at all, at least without risking getting flame bodied in Rocky Helmet, is actually like really bad. And it can just be a very frustrating Pokemon to deal with. Volcarona is actually like it's in a really, really good spot right now. It does have issues in the Pokemon like, you know, Lunala, because it's going to be clicking Meteor Beam and stuff. But just we've seen a lot of like Volcarona running around in the current format for a number of reasons. And I believe Carson Comfort just built with Andrew Ding, so it's going to be like the exact same team. Yeah, Choice Band, it's the exact same team. So, and then we have Luca Paz, who has a very similar team, except he actually went for Whimsicott over Grimmsnarl, which I respect this. It's basically the exact same thing, but Whimsicott allows for you to go for a Tailwind option, while also keeping one of your screens. And to be honest, like, the Grimmsnarl's only purpose is literally just to threaten Thunderwave for speed control and put up a light screen. Like, Reflect is usually not what you're clicking. It's usually light screen because of all the very powerful special restrictions in the format. So being able to just put down the Grimmsnarl for a little bit and run a Tailwind Pokemon with access to Encore is a really good, it's a really cool call. So yeah, shout out Luca Paz. And then yeah, we see more Miraidon and Calyrex, but here is the most impressive thing in the format. Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh actually did pretty good this weekend, and that's actually a Pokemon that I think when I did my tier list, I gave it like high C or low B, and it's for one very specific reason. I think Ho-Oh is like really good. It's just its bulk and its typing. It isn't necessarily that Ho-Oh has amazing damage output. I mean, it's clicking Brave Bird off of like, what, 154 attack? Or 130, actually. I think its special defense is 154. Let me double check that. But, here, Ho-Oh. Yeah, 130 attack. I mean, yeah, you also have like Sacred Fire and stuff, but that isn't really the reason you run it. You run it because Ho-Oh has a really good matchup into a few restricteds. You can see Joey Pokeyame here was running a Clear Amulet, Terra Grass Regenerator Ho-Oh with Sacred Fire, Brave Bird, Tailwind, and Protect. We have a Choice Specs Miraidon with Electro Drift, Dazzling Gleam, Draco Meteor, and Volt Switch. We have a Focus Sash, Encore, Speed Control, Iron Bundle. We have Life Orb Iron Treads, which is basically just a Miraidon farmer. And we have Electric Seed Farigiraf and Terra Water Iron Hands. So this is a very unique team. You might not think so because there's a Farigiraf and Iron Hands and a Miraidon, and maybe you have like bad memories from previous formats where you saw Iron Bundle and it was really annoying, but Iron Bundle doesn't get a lot of usage right now. Iron Treads is very specific, and Ho-Oh is also a very particular pick here. So Ho-Oh does a few things. It has speed control, it has really good bulk, meaning that it's able to deal with the opposing Calyrex Shadow Rider super well, but also has an incredible Koraidon matchup. It just walls Koraidon. You resist the Flare Blitz, you resist the Close Combat, you resist the Collision Course, and you threaten a one-shot back with Brave Bird, or at the very least you get that Tailwind off, and then you can threaten it with something else in the back. That is really incredible. It doesn't really care about Zamazenta either. It's just a hard wall for Zamazenta, since you're also just resisting Body Press and Heavy Slam, or Behemoth Bash if they decide to run that. And that allows for you to just Sacred Fire into them and not really care. In fact, if we take a look at like some of the Pokemon that had some of the highest representation in this format, they're all Pokemon that, besides the Miraidon, which is like the most used Pokemon in the game at the moment, at least as far as restricteds go, the Ho-Oh doesn't really mind dealing with them. It can eat Cali Ice's Glacial Lance pretty well, and a lot of these Cali Ice, even though they are Terra Fire, they don't want to be forced to burn that so easily, especially when it causes them to be weak to other things in the team, like, you know, Iron Treads' high horsepower, or I guess that's really just it. But like that's still good. That's still good. Being able to make them burn their Terra, it just locks it down a little bit, because like you know, just getting that out of the way makes the mind games go away for the rest of the match. But yeah, Joey Pokemon, this was his first VGC event in 8 years. And taking top 8 is just like incredible for that reason. But this team is super cool. It definitely just seems to be like centered around it being able to lock down certain positions like Fake Out plus Electro Drift, or being able to like switch in the Iron Bundle on the Protect and then locking them with Encore. It's just like a very fundamentals team with a lot of pivoting. Like I can guarantee you this team has to switch quite a bit. So yeah. And then we see Darsh Patel. Darsh Patel, friend of the channel, Miraidon, or yeah, Miraidon Cali Ice. Very similar team to what we saw up there, except what's different here? So Ogerpon, right? So Darsh has Cali Ice, Miraidon, Volcarona, Urshifu, Grimmsnarl, Iron Hands, and this person has Cali Ice, Miraidon, Volcarona, Farigiraf. So he has Farigiraf over Urshifu, so that's pretty cool. This team, I mean, like it plays very similar to like what we saw from the rest of what was going on up there. It's just screens plus like Choice Specs Miraidon. You have the redirection of the Volcarona, except this version of the team has Quiver Dance in case he wants to set up. And yeah, setup Volcarona is also quite good because you're able to wall out a lot of very annoying Pokemon like Calyrex Shadow Rider or like Lunala if you decide to go for that Terra Grass, so you don't end up getting Meteor Beamed. But yeah, another really interesting tech here is he is Leftovers, Leech Seed, Terra Water, Calyrex Ice, which I think is insane, but it makes sense considering that the team has insane damage resistance, or insane damage mitigation with Light Screen and Reflect, as well as coaching to boost that defense stat. So this is actually just like super insane. Some of the Pokemon, what is it? Some of the Pokemon that I wanted to see in top 8 are not there, but that's fine. I was actually really hoping to see if we could get like a not Dusk Mane, but like a Dawn Wings Lunala, or Dawn Wings Necrozma, because I feel like Dawn Wings Necrozma is actually not that bad. But in top 8 we have Jonathan Quinones, and he's running a Cali Shadow Terapagos team. This is a duo that we've seen running around. I'm not a big fan of like Cali Shadow Terapagos, but I think they do pair pretty well together, you know. It's just balance. The best way to put it is this team is extremely fat and annoying and pivoty, and all it really does is set up the Terapagos and protect it with like Cali Shadow. Like that's basically it. And Cali Shadow forces a lot of like terrors to happen, and then you Terra your Terapagos and then you win. Like I don't think there's much to be said about this. I don't know. I'm not like a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of Terapagos in the current format. Aditya also did quite well. He was also running, I believe, a very similar team to Joey. Let's see, so Joey's team, Iron Treads, or not a similar team, but like the same restricted duo. But yeah, this is pretty cool. Once again, we see another like Ursaluna, which is huge in the format at this time. Iron Hands plus, you know, standard Ho-Oh. We have Farigiraf with the Electric Seed, Miraidon, Choice Specs, Light Screen, Grimmsnarl, and Ursaluna with the Flame Orb. Not much really to go off of there. Now that we've covered top 8, I think I'm just going to sort of just try to pick out certain things that I found super interesting. Oh, here, JoeUX9, running basically the exact same team as he did before Regulation I, but he actually put a Zamazenta on it instead. I forget what he dropped for the Zamazenta, but this is very similar to what he's been running. It's just Miraidon plus Zamazenta. We have like Volcarona and Grimmsnarl for like screens and stuff, Iron Hands, and a Ditto. So Joe's got 3 restricteds going on there. James Evans' team was also like super duper strong. This team is absurdly annoying, and I faced him, I believe, round 6, and I had an auto loss into him, and I knew that going into the tournament because I have no way of dealing with this at all with my team. We can talk about my team at some point, but probably not in this video. So I'm surprised he didn't go further because this team felt impossible for me, but I guess it's doable for other people. We have Raging Bolt with the Assault Vest, Terra Fairy, Electroweb. We have Focus Sash, Encore, Calyrex Shadow. We have the Covert Cloak, Brute Bonnet, which a lot of people were like making that meta call going into the tournament that Brute Bonnet was going to be quite strong. We have Choice Scarf, Terra Fire, Chi-Yu, which is a really bold choice because a lot of Chi-Yu go Terra Ghost. Going Terra Fire with like Heat Wave and Overheat and Sun is basically just doubling down at the expense of maybe getting faked out. But I guess Cali Shadow there does help it out quite a bit, because if they do decide to fake out, they can get Encored, so I don't think that it's really a big deal. And then they have Koraidon with the ability Shield, Flare Blitz, Collision Course, Flame Charge, Protect, and of course a Galarian Weezing with Neutralizing Gas, Dazzling Gleam, Taunt, Will-O-Wisp, and Protect. So Galarian Weezing and Ability Shield Koraidon is such a strong duo right now, because Koraidon is going to allow for that Chi-Yu to be like super strong in the back at some point whenever it comes in, but it also boosts Brute Bonnet and Raging Bolt. But if you want to lead off with Koraidon and Galarian Weezing, not only do you not have to worry about Intimidates, but also because so many Pokemon in this format rely so heavily on their abilities that Koraidon is able to just bypass all of them and just wreak havoc. Grimmsnarl cannot get off its screens. Lunala does not get its Shadow Shield, so it just gets one shot by Terrafire, Flare Blitz. Other important Pokemon, Whimsicott does not get Prankster Tailwind. Tornadus does not get Prankster Tailwind. Farigiraf can't block Priority, but I guess that doesn't really matter for this matchup. And yeah, and just having this Weezing next to it with Taunt, Will-O-Wisp, and all these like great support moves to prevent them from going for like Trick Room or whatever makes it super difficult. Koraidon and Weezing play very similar to how Regigigas and Weezing would play in previous formats. You would just take a KO and then prevent all the counterplay with Weezing. Like Weezing says, get in there and make it about you. Like that's all it does. Like also things that Weezing gets to do, Weezing gets to make it so Miraidon doesn't get damage, its damage increased by its ability because there's no electric terrain and there's also no Hadron Engine. It prevents Ditto from copying anything. It prevents all Cork drives from existing. It prevents Zamazenta from getting its Dauntless Shield, so now it just gets one shot. There's just a lot going on that the Weezing's able to interrupt and force the opponent to just like sit there and be sad about. So yeah. And we see a few more teams. It's funny, Lunala Miraidon was a duo that a lot of people were expecting to do incredible going into this tournament, right? But it just, it fell short. I mean, there was one Lunala Miraidon in top 16. Oh no, two Lunala Miraidons in top 16, but it was Lunala Miraidon that ended up stealing the show. Also shout out Carl for making top 16, drove up with them. So also a good friend of the channel. Colin Hire did quite well with Lunala Miraidon as well. It just seems to be a standard Lunala Miraidon, except instead of Brute Bonnet, there's an Amoonguss, and you have like a Trick Room option. That's pretty strong. Other things going on here. We need to talk about Michael Zhang. Michael Zhang always pulling up with the most insane tech. And let me tell you something. I already know the thought process here. I've not spoken to Michael Zhang about this team, but I can see it. Two of these Pokemon on this team exist solely to say, screw you, to two restricted Pokemon. Toxapex says screw you to Koraidon. Koraidon does not break Toxapex. Rocky Helmet Regenerator, Toxic, Wide Guard, Baneful Bunker Haze. Yeah, okay. Terra Fairy, Eviolite, Lightning Rod, Rhydon. If that thing Terra Fairies, Miraidon can't touch it anymore. It literally can't touch. It's immune to everything other than Terra Fairy, Dazzling Gleam, and I don't think that Eviolite Rhydon really cares that much. So High Horsepower, Rock Slide, Swords Dance, pretty interesting. We also have Comfey with Citrus Berry, Draining Kiss, Protect, and Floral Healing and Synthesis. Walking Wake with Protect, Draco Meteor, Snarl, and Hydro Steam. That's also like a really big threat into Miraidon. That's another Pokemon there. Ho-Oh and Koraidon. This is actually pretty cool. Assault Vest Koraidon is interesting. You're going to be able to, I guess, throw U-turn on there. That's like the big difference. And I guess like the team is pretty bulked out. And Comfey's there to keep everything healthy. So... And then just standard Ho-Oh. Yeah, Ho-Oh did incredible in this tournament. Like, we just have to keep pointing it out every time it shows up. But yeah, this team is just insane. You couldn't pay me to run this team, but Michael Zhang, you just did incredible. Always running like crazy stuff. So, Wolf Glick also rolled up to the tournament with Lunala Miraidon. He ended up in 21st. It's just like sort of a standard Lunala Miraidon, except instead of, once again, Brute Bonnet and Amoonguss, and I think that Amoonguss is like also a valid choice. It did quite well. Nick Borgi did quite well. Once again, we have Lunala and Cali Ice with like screens and support, and yeah, that is basically what we see. Oh yeah, also Dalway did pretty good with Lunala and not Lunala, with Miraidon, Ho-Oh, and Sinistcha. Sinistcha's pretty interesting. You know, with screens, these things want to stay healthy. Oh, Calm Mind Covert Cloak, that's actually really interesting. Yeah, so it's just like a Screens Miraidon. Screens plus Miraidon was like the real winner of this tournament. Like that's what we learned. Screens plus Miraidon is insanely broken. And it doesn't matter how you build it. If you get like the right Pokemon there and you play well, you're going to do well. But yeah, other than that, like some Pokemon in day 2 that, or some restricted duos in day 2 that were pretty interesting. We just see like more of the same. However, if the first Kyogre of the entire tournament was at 54th. I think Kyogre is deep in the gutter. I don't know how you're supposed to play Kyogre in this format. Wide Guard is everywhere. There's Koraidon everywhere. There's just so many Pokemon that deal with it that have just incredible matchups into it. And it doesn't feel like it has a ton of great restricted partners other than like the Calyrexes and maybe Lunala. So I don't know what we have to do to get Kyogre out of the gutter, but 8-3 finish isn't bad. That's day 2. We do see my buddy Luke did pretty well with Cali Ice. I believe he said he was double Decorate. Yeah, he's got Decorate on Smeargle and Decorate in Alchemy. Hard Trick Room, Lunala, Dawnwings, or Necrozma Dawnwings, and Calyrex Ice. It's just hard Trick Room. You know how it works. You get the Trick Room off, you click moves, you win in 4 turns or lose in 5. That's basically how it works. Ben Grismer did pretty okay with a Dondozo, Calyrex, Kyogre, and Galarian Weezing team. And other interesting picks, Gerald Goatis. I actually played against this guy. He was the other Necrozma Duskmane player in the room. Finished at 7-4, and our teams were like Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue. Because I ran Necrozma, Miraidon, and Ogerpon Wellspring, and he ran Necrozma, Koraidon, and Ogerpon Hearthflame. This is like a really cool team. It was super interesting. There was like even like a mud shot on the walking wake for like speed control and stuff. But yeah, this team was very difficult for me to break, especially because I just couldn't bring my Necrozma to that matchup. But yeah. Oh yeah, here's a fun fact. Vijay was actually the only Zacian to make it like this high up in the rankings, right? And it was Zacian Hero form, not Zacian Crowned. Terra Fighting, Psychic Fangs, Play Rough, Sacred Sword, and Crunch. Actually, as a matter of fact, now's a good time to start the fun facts that my friend Sarah sent me. We're gonna just read off some fun facts about these results. Rhydon had a better win rate than both Urshifu's Incineroar and Rillaboom. That makes sense because Rhydon has less representation. It was only on like 1 or 2 teams maybe, where Urshifu, Incineroar, and Rillaboom were on many. The only restricted that was used that won 0 sets was Reshiram. My agenda stays true. I do not like Reshiram. The highest placing Zacian was not the crowned variant. Yep, here we are with the Jays team. The only person who brought Alolan Muck went 4-4, giving it an exactly 50% win rate. The Pokemon with the overall best win rate was Alchemy at 68.42%, with 2 being used at 5-3 and 8-3 each. The better performing of the 2 Pawmots was the one that did not have Revival Blessing. The highest placing Groudon went 5-3, which is the same score as the highest placing Giratina. That is insane. Yeah, trying to see if anyone, like, where was the Giratina team? I'm gonna have to go to Lab Mouse. Let's see, Giratina. Oh, calling. Giratina. Here we go. There were 2 Giratinas. If I can find it. Top placement was 389th. Okay. See how the best Giratina did. That's not it. All right, 389th for Giratina. Look, I did bad at this tournament, but I did better than Giratina, so I'm okay with that. Douglas Hardy. This is pretty interesting. Weakness Policy, Terra Bug, Calm Mind, Will-O-Wisp, Hex Protect. Next to a Zamazenta, we have Rillaboom with the Assault Vest, we have Grimmsnarl, Uproar, Ally Switch, Wish for Rigorath, and Coaching Sneasler. That's interesting. I'm wondering, how do you activate the Weakness Policy? Do you just have to hope that they do it? I guess you just hope that they do it. Terra Bug is certainly a way to get that to happen. All right. And yeah, and the highest placing Groudon also went 4-4. I think this is it. Call him beer, right? Which is just like, yeah, I don't see another. I don't see any other Groudon. There might be one more there. There are a lot of 4/4s. This certainly was the bike event. The bike duo did incredible at this event. But yeah, state of the metagame is pretty interesting. I think that what we're learning at the moment is that Miraidon on Soft Trick Room with screens is extremely broken. There's definitely a need for Urshifu in the format to help bypass that. Which Urshifu you choose is up to your discretion. And yeah, Soft Trick Room plus Miraidon is busted. That's basically what we take away from this. I wonder what'll come of this format in the long run, though. This was certainly a really interesting one. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.